and I got a job with an IT company on my first year out of college, my first month out of college, and I also got an internship while I was in school, right? So when people ask me, what did you do? Here's what I tell them. Okay, so welcome back to Hello Younger Me, guys. It's Chika here again. Today we're gonna be talking about something that really changed the way I interview. Like, this is the number one tip I tell anyone who asks me for advice. Are you ready? Okay, so in case you didn't know, I was a medical student prior to this. I was in my, I think, first or second year, and then I completely switched to IT. And people ask me a lot, how did you do it? I got a master's I got a bachelor's in biology, then a master's in IT, and I got a job with an IT company on my first year out of college, my first month out of college, and I also got an internship while I was in school, right? So when people ask me, what did you do? Here's what I tell them. Okay, so the foundational tip is that whatever role you're applying for in IT is very vast. Whatever role you're applying for, let's say, for example, a cybersecurity analyst, I would go on LinkedIn or Indeed or any legit job searching app, and I would look for those roles, right? So cybersecurity analyst, more for multiple companies, right? And I'll look at the job description. So what tools do they want you to know? What softwares are they looking for? I'll gather that knowledge and keep it one side. Okay. Now my first, before the interview phase. This is another phase, right? This is the first phase. Before the interview, I used to, and I encourage people to, is gain some basic knowledge on things that are IT. Something I encourage people to learn is Linux OS. Linux is a different type of operating system, and it's so important because a lot of the computing servers and systems in IT world use Linux, right? So I wouldn't say be an expert, but know a few commands here and there because it might come in handy when you get your job. Second thing I would suggest is learning cloud computing. Yes, because that is it's not new, but it's newer. It's a field or an area of IT that a lot of companies are looking into because of the flexibility, adaptability, able to scale. So it's something that would help you stand out while you're applying because my company and other companies too are looking to move systems to the cloud. So you coming in with that knowledge, that certificate in cloud would help you a lot. Okay, so next tip before the interview phase is to take courses. So I already mentioned Linux and cloud, right? Those are the basic ones that I believe would help you in your IT career. But remember how I said that you should go to the job description of your desired IT role and find out what the tools and software they use. So now I need you to go take some courses that would earn you certificates in those software or tools or in that field. Because if you're coming out of college, fresh grad like I was, you don't have a lot of experience. Experience helps a lot, right? So what is one thing that you can stand out in? Certificates. It tells people that, look, I know I don't have 10 years of experience, but I studied, I did labs, I did projects, and I got myself a certification, and here's the proof, right? So that helps a whole lot. Okay, so you're taking courses, you're learning and everything. Now, for that bonus, for that very important tip I mentioned in the beginning, is when you're doing all these courses, getting your certs, make sure the courses you take offer projects. By projects, I mean like labs, like actual hands-on thing that you do in the course, not just like reading, but like this is a lab where you have to do this and do that. Because when you have those things, you can put that on your resume. And when you are in the interview, it's easier to talk about a project that shows your skills than to start listing out the skills that you have. Because as you're talking about that project during your interview, you're letting them know that, I actually did this by myself. I'm telling you everything I did. I'm telling you all the key steps, as I'm saying, talking about the project. I'm mentioning buzzwords that the industry uses. I'm mentioning terminologies, right? So it helps you a whole lot. One reason that helps you is that it lets you take control of your interview, because as you're talking about a project from beginning to end, take your time, take your time and talk about the project. You're talking about the project, it gives you confidence, and when they want to ask you questions, they'll probably ask you from what you're saying, which is that project that you know because you did it yourself. So it is such it has been such a blessing to me. So yes, as you're doing your courses, getting your sets, make sure you're doing projects. Make sure you are doing them yourself and they are hands on. Okay, so before the interview, right? We have gotten we've done some background research on the roles we want to apply to. We know what to study for. We are doing projects. What else? We did some background in Linux or cloud, maybe. Now you need to go and apply. That's the next phase. Apply. I use, like I already mentioned, LinkedIn and Indeed, because that's what I was introduced to in school as well. And one feature that you should be using is I think it's one click apply, but it's the feature where you don't need to go and like upload your resume to the job. You just see the job as kind of like if you're on Instagram, you see the job and you just click and it applies for you, right? Because you already have your resume on there. Not all jobs that are posted let you do that, but some of them do. So make sure you're applying for the ones that do. And I might say that because it lets you apply to more jobs when you're not in front of your computer, able to do the extra steps that other jobs want you to do. If you're just, in the passenger of a car, you are, watching a mindless TV show, you can just be applying, because those applications matter. The more you apply, the more your chances get better. And please, do not be discouraged when you start seeing the rejection. Sometimes as you're clicking it, they're rejecting you. It's okay. We all went through that. It happens, okay? But you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep applying no matter what. Even if you do not have every single qualification that's listed there, don't worry. Nobody has everything. Leave it like that. You keep applying. And then the next phase is, this is before the interview, right? You've applied, right? Now, by the grace of God, after you get that interview, okay, after you get it, what do you do? Before the interview day, I would go through YouTube and search for behavioral questions that they might ask you, because it wouldn't all be just technical questions. Usually the interviews are, the first phase is like your phone screening, they're just asking you questions and making sure your resume, checks out, and then you get maybe one technical interview next, and then you get a second technical interview next. And during those technical interviews, more than just technical questions, what's going on? Not just technical questions, they'd ask you like behavioral questions. So what would you do if you had to resolve conflict in the workplace? What would you do if blah 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 blah? Basically, like, are you a human being? How are you a human being in these situations? Something that we got taught at school, and I've heard people mention it a lot, is the STAR method. I wouldn't go into too much details. I don't make this video too long. But when you are researching behavioral questions, research the STAR method on how to answer them. Be ready. You're gonna be an all-rounder that day. You are gonna be an all-rounder that day. So behavioral questions, and then next thing I do is also I research the company. Yes, I have like a Google Doc for every company that grants me an interview. I go research their vision, their goals, their mantra, their mission. I write it down. I also go back to the job posting and get the job description, because I want to make sure that I remind myself what they wanted me to know, even if I don't have everything. The ones that I have and the list there, I will make sure on my resume that I refresh. I know things in my resume that apply to their job description. One thing to note: you should always be ready to talk about every single thing on your resume, no matter if it's no matter if it's related to that job or not, because that's how they, because that's how because some people might be interested in knowing other things that apart from, they want to see how much of a well-rounded person. Oh, maybe this other thing doesn't relate to us. Maybe you can tell us more about it. So you never know. So always be ready. Okay, so we've talked about foundational tip before the interview, apply after the interview. The next thing, the final phase, that can be the final step that can be applied to any phase is pray. Girl, guy, I mean, I'm a Christian, I can't lie. There's something there are some things in life that are just beyond your control, right? There are so many factors and variables, confounding variables that could affect you. Let me read this Bible verse for you. Okay, I don't know if you knew this was in the Bible, but let me shock you. I want to shock you today. Can I shock you? I want to shock you. Ecclesiastes 9:11. So this is Ecclesiastes. I didn't have the Bible app. I went to go on Google. You guys have the YouVersion Bible app. It's pretty lit. 9:11. Is it 9:11 like this? Yeah. It's 9:11 now. Oh, I put Proverbs. That says 9. Okay, I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race, and the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It is all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. And that part in other version says bad luck happens to everybody. That's not our portion, right? I'm just saying the point is that there are sometimes things that happen that are out of your control in this world, right? But I pray because I believe that everything that happens, God will make it work for my good, right? I don't have to do everything. I don't have to be perfect every time because He's got me. You do your own work, right? But the ones that you cannot control, He has the control over it. So I always pray in any phase. So before the interview, after the interview, I'm applying every single thing, right? So I hope this helped you if you're a new grad and you're looking for that extra way to put yourself out there and to get that job, your dream job. I pray it comes to you, and if this has been helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe and like and share. So bye guys.